My guests are Mike Allen, the mayor of Belville, and the commissioner who is with him today, Joe Breault. Gentlemen, welcome to our show.
Thank you for allowing us to be here today.
You have a great story to tell of some recent developments in Belville, and it relates to your Riverwalk concept. Am I calling it by its right term?
Yes. When I became mayor and got on the city council, I realized that we had a park in the middle of our town that we didn't own.
Right.
So I was talking with Commissioner Breault one day, and we were looking at it, and we said, we tried to find out why we gave it to the county. And Joe came up with a new vision, new concept, and then I went to our county commissioners and asked them if I could get my park back for the town of Belville. And we sat down, and through their gracious negotiation, and we'd love to thank all of the county commissioners because
absolutely,
we showed them our concept. Joe did a presentation to them. They liked it, and they gave the park back to the town of Belville.
So the commissioners conveyed the property back to Belville.
Yes.
And you guys and other leaders in the county, in the Belville, are putting together this Riverwalk concept. Now, I was there for your grand opening, if that's what I could call it, a few weeks ago, and it's right on the water, and it's on the south side of town, am I right?
Yes, and the concept, and Commissioner Breault, he's our spearhead. He's the one that runs the project and heads it. Most of the concepts that you see there in the grand opening, and I'll let him address that because it's his project. We work with him trying to get issues cleared up. But for a long time, the town of Belville, if you asked where Belville was, everybody looked at you funny and said, well, I've never heard of it.
That's no longer the case.
That's no longer the case.
Yeah.
So we had something that had a natural beauty, something we could take that the townspeople could enjoy and put us on the map. That when people come to our area, they'd love to come down to the town of Belville.
Now, Mr. Commissioner, tell me how this idea first occurred to you.
Well, I drove by the waterfront for years, and I saw all that marshland and river frontage, and it wasn't being utilized. And I thought it would be a fantastic opportunity to educate people on the environment, to use it for a recreational facility, plus the fact that it's very rich in history. Sure. At one point, that river was the home of the third largest navy in the world. There were 460 Liberty ships tied up there.
I've seen those pictures.
Right, and then right across from the park is Eagle Island itself, which at one time was the largest revenue producer for the state of North Carolina, where it was all rice plantations. And there were 63 miles of rice plantation canal on that island. So when you put all the factors together, you have an ecological entity, you have an environmental entity, you have a historical entity, and I felt that we needed to put this all together into a concept that people could use. And we currently have what will be the largest publicly accessible waterfront on the entire length of the river, more than any other city in town, including Wilmington, publicly accessible. And that's our intent, to allow that to preserve the natural resources and yet give the public access to the natural resources and teach them in the process of what we're doing.
Right. Now, paint for our viewers a picture of what the park might look like 5 or 10 years from now.
Well, currently the park is 28 acres, and we have a 2,500 square foot observation deck that goes over the water, and we have a boat launch that we're working on having dredged to fulfill. Within the next 2 years, we'll have a 125-foot fishing pier going out into the river. We'll have another 1.5 miles of walking trail paralleling the river along the waterfront. We will have an educational pavilion that's being constructed with a grant from Duke Energy going up in the facility. And we will have a 730-foot long waterfront boardwalk going over the marshes on the river, and that will culminate with another 1,800 square foot observation deck at the end of that boardwalk, and then loop back to the start. That's the next 2 years. Within the next 5 years, we intend to carry that park across to the Battleship North Carolina Memorial, making that a 5-mile long waterfront entity, which will make it one of the largest publicly accessible waterfront parks on the entire East Coast. And then within 20 years, we hope to develop that into a 25-mile closed-loop trail going from New Hanover County through Brunswick County and encompassing going down through Greenfield Lake tying in the recreational aspect of Greenfield Lake, the commercial aspect of downtown Wilmington and its waterfront, the historical aspect of the Battleship North Carolina, the environmental and educational aspect of our park, across to Leland's Westgate Park, back down to Brunswick Forest and their golf course and their walking and biking trails, over to the Nature Park on Route 133, then back across the river as we build the Southern Cape Fear Bridge to either Independence Boulevard or Shipyard Boulevard, where they end up building the bridge, and tying back into the city Gary Cross Shell Trail and the Bikes to the Sea trails, making it a 25-mile closed-loop system. That's in the next 15, 20-year vision.
That's such an exciting picture that you've just painted with short-term, medium, and long-range plans all together. And your comments remind me that there are some commercial developments that are also a part of this. Can you tell me about that?
Well,
Mr.
as part of our park system and everything we're looking at, we wanted to complement the park. People coming in where it's kayakers or people just want to walk down on the observation deck or bring their kids down to play in the park or just have a nice relaxing afternoon or evening, that we would put a restaurant there with a deck that overlooks the river so you could sit out and be comfortable and have a meal.
What about shops?
The shops, what we do, that's another part we want to complement. If you want to fish, we'll have a tackle shop. If you're a kayaker, we'll have a kayak shop there. Yeah. We may have a little ice cream shop for the kids to come in, as well as a place, with some of the artifacts that have been taken there. We also want a space that we'll have there to identify part of the historical portion of the Belville plantation that used to be there, as well as some of the Indian artifacts that were found, and those will be on display.
Now, each of you have mentioned the importance of history and culture. So there is an educational component to this. Tell me about that as well.
It goes further. What we're doing with the grant we received from Duke Energy is we plan on being able to integrate the entire K-12 science core curricula from the park. We'll take students from the classroom, bring them to the field, and do live training in the field. All of that training will be broadcast interactively over Wi-Fi and the county's network to all of the students throughout the entire 12,200 student school board system, which means if little Susie is in the field and she picks up a crab, Johnny in Bolivia or Peter in Charlotte could say, "Susie, I want to see that crab," and she'll be able to pick it up and interactively talk about it to them. In addition to that, we've partnered with the North Carolina Division of Inland Marine Fisheries, the North Carolina Division of Fish and Wildlife, the U.S. Department of Fish and Wildlife, the National Atmospheric and Oceanographic Agency, and a series of other state agencies and federal agencies, all of who are being extremely cooperative, and they are going to use the facility as part of their ongoing educational outreach programs. So we're transitioning our town to become an oasis of education, environmental awareness, recreation, and history for the entire region.
What a great vision. What a great vision. Now, we've been talking about the future. Let's step back a little bit because I know just in recent months there have been a lot of activities in Belville. Tell us about those.
Well, a lot of that activity, we reestablished our Founders Day, which now every year we'll have a Founders Day celebration. Another aspect of this that we're looking at, not only what we're doing, we've had more events in the park this year than has probably been accomplished over the last 10 years. And we want a place that people want to come. Not only our town, it doesn't matter where it's in the town of Leland, Brunswick County, Wilmington, and working in conjunction with them. Give a place that people say, "I want to go to Belville."
Well, I've been there several times in recent months, and I want our viewers to know that it's just a fabulous park. I hope they'll take the opportunity to go see it and get a real feel for what you're doing here in Belville.
We welcome everyone to come and enjoy the park. What we are doing as a very small town will benefit the surrounding cities, towns, and communities far more than it will our little town. We don't have room to grow.
Absolutely.
But we're looking to provide something for the future.
Gentlemen, it's just such a great story that you've had for us these past few minutes. Belville is on the move.
Well, we're on the map. We want to encourage people in our area and region in Brunswick County and our townspeople to come down and enjoy the beauty we have on the Brunswick River. They'll see me down in the park walking a lot of times, but a lot of this too, I want to thank all of our elected officials, whether state or federal. They have worked with us tremendously.
Absolutely.
And their input
It's always a
pushing this
partnership,
along,
isn't it?
and it is a partnership.
Mayor Allen, Commissioner Breault, thank you
Thank you
both for
very
being
much.
with us.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.